Something happened to Mark Kelly that he never thought would happen, and you can see it the exact moment that it hits him. For weeks, this was supposed to be noise. It was supposed to be talking points, cable news. Cable news hits, a senator wagging his finger at the system, daring it to act, and then the Pentagon stopped watching. And suddenly they started moving, because this isn't a media controversy anymore. This is an official command investigation. And once that word enters the conversation, everything changed. You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in his face. The confidence drains, the rhetoric shifts. The message suddenly becomes, this isn't about me, it's about all of us. That's not courage, that is panic. So tonight we're breaking down how an illegal orders narrative meant to sound heroic backfired hard, why the Pentagon escalated under Donald J. Trump, and why Mark Kelly is now discovering that being a senator does not place you above military law. Now, this is the moment where symbolism collides with reality, where cable news bravado meets chain of command consequences, and where a man who thought that he was untouchable realizes on live television that the rules still apply to you, sir. Stay with me, guys, because once you see how this unfolded, you're going to understand why Mark Kelly isn't fighting anymore. He's scrambling. Be sure to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate your support. All right, folks, so here's where the story stops being political theater and it turns into something more real. So up until this point, Mark Kelly, he basically believed that he was just noise. You know, this is just noise. It's headlines, it's cable hits, it's social media outrage that would fade like it always does. But then the Pentagon made a move that changes everything. They didn't issue a statement. They didn't scold him. They escalated. A routine review became an official command investigation. And that phrase matters more than anything else you've heard so far, because once the Pentagon does that, this is no longer about optics or spin. This is about jurisdiction, authority, and whether a line has been crossed that cannot be uncrossed. So that escalation is what triggered the shift that you see on television. This is when Kelly realizes that he's no longer arguing with commentators. He's dealing with an institution that enforces rules, not narratives. From that moment on, everything that he says sounds different. Not defiant, not confident, careful, urgent, defensive, because when the Pentagon escalates, it means that they're not asking questions anymore. They're determining consequences. And so let's go ahead and slow this down and let's be very precise, because this is where the backfire begins. You see, Mark Kelly didn't just criticize the administration. He didn't just voice concern. He publicly told service members that they have a duty to refuse illegal orders, framing this thing as a moral stand. Here's the problem. In the U.S. military, the question of whether an order is illegal is not decided on cable news or social media. It's decided through lawful channels, commanders, and military courts. When a sitting U.S. senator, who is also a retired officer, broadcasts that message directly to troops, it stops being protected political speech and it starts looking a lot more like interference. Intent matters, context matters, and who is speaking matters most of all. This is why this didn't land as heroic resistance inside the Pentagon. It landed as something far more serious. A public instruction that risks undermining discipline and chain of command. So that's the moment that the narrative flipped. And Kelly didn't see it coming. This is the part Mark Kelly clearly did not factor in, or worse, assumed wouldn't be enforced. You see, retirement does not place a former officer outside the reach of military law. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, certain retired officers remain subject to jurisdiction, especially when their conduct directly relates to military order, discipline, influence over active service members, and the whole shebang. That is not controversial. That is established law. So the Pentagon doesn't care that Mark Kelly is a senator. They care that he is a retired officer using his authority and his credibility to speak directly into the ranks. And federal law allows the Secretary of Defense to review whether that conduct crosses into punishable territory. So this is where Kelly's miscalculation becomes obvious. He treated retirement like immunity. The Pentagon treated it like continued responsibility. Once that reality sets in, the story changes. This is no longer about whether Kelly meant well. It's about whether his words created risk and whether the military is obligated to respond. That's why the investigation didn't disappear. It escalated. And this is exactly how people get burned, not because they're careless, but because they assume that the system will protect them. Now, I had a viewer tell me that she wasted almost $900 in a single year simply because she never compared her Medicare plan to anything else. Nothing changed on her end, no warning. Her plan just wasn't competitive anymore. She said that money could have changed my whole year. That's why I partner with Chapter, folks. Chapter helps you stop overpaying by matching your Medicare coverage to what you actually need, not what quietly costs you the most. They review your options, explain the trade-offs, and they make sure that you're not leaking money without realizing it. Now, most people, they're already dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen. It's completely free. They will never ask you for a dime. Phone number is 909-563-8279, or you can visit askchapter.org/Ron. There's a link down below. Click the link now, because just like Mark Kelly here, assumptions can get expensive real fast. So now let's go back and watch Kelly on television after that escalation becomes public. And don't listen to what he says at first. Watch how he says it. The pacing speeds up. The sentences stack on top of each other. The tone shifts from certainty to urgency. This isn't mockery, it's observation. He stops speaking like someone making a point, and he starts speaking like someone who's trying to stop momentum. He repeats himself, he widens the scope. Suddenly, this isn't about his words anymore. It's about everyone. The military, retirees, the Constitution, all of us. That is a classic stress response, because the moment official command investigation enters the picture, Kelly realizes he's no longer debating ideas. He's reacting to a process that doesn't care about cable news framing. You can hear it when his voice tightens. You can see it when his posture changes. This is the moment confidence gives way to concern, and it's only just beginning. So pay attention to how fast Mark Kelly's messaging changes once the gravity of the situation becomes impossible to ignore. Now, at first, he's defiant, he's firm, he frames himself as someone standing up to power. But the moment the Pentagon escalates, that tone collapses and a new one replaces it. All of a sudden, this isn't about what he said, this is about what it means for everyone. Now, this is about all of us, he says. This affects every service member. This is bigger than me. That's not strength, that's insulation. When someone pulls the crowd around them like that, it's usually because they feel exposed. It's a psychological shift, moving from personal accountability to collective fear, and it's telling. You see, Kelly isn't trying to persuade anyone. He's trying to dilute responsibility. The louder he repeats that this isn't about him, the clearer it becomes that it absolutely is about him. Because if he truly believed that he was safe, he wouldn't need backup. And that's when the panic becomes visible. You see, timing matters, and this is where the broader context hits. Donald J. Trump is back in the White House, and that alone changes the calculus inside the Pentagon. For years, certain political assumptions, they went unchallenged. Lines were blurred, consequences were inconsistent, but under Trump's administration, the Department of Defense, they've returned to something very simple. Chain of command matters. This isn't about settling scores, it's about enforcement. Kelly assumed the same informal immunity that existed before would still apply. Well, it doesn't, sir. The system has shifted. Institutions that were once hesitant to act are now willing to draw the lines, especially when military discipline is involved. This is why it's happening now. Not because of revenge, not because of politics, but because the rules are being treated like rules again. And Kelly didn't adjust in time. This is where Mark Kelly's expectations collide with institutional reality. Under Donald J. Trump, the Pentagon is not operating on vibes, messaging, or political sensitivity. It's operating on hierarchy, authority, and precedent. That matters. This Department of Defense isn't asking whether a statement played well or whether it polls favorably. It's asking one question only. Did this create risk inside the chain of command? And if the answer might be yes, the Pentagon doesn't debate it on television, it opens a file. Kelly appears to have assumed that the public stature would soften the response, that a senator, a decorated veteran, and a familiar media figure would receive deference. But instead, he ran into a Pentagon that views discipline as non-negotiable, especially when messages are broadcast directly to service members. That's the miscalculation right there. Because under this administration, enforcement isn't optional, and once authority is invoked, it doesn't retreat just because the spotlight gets uncomfortable. This is where Kelly's defense strategy becomes clear, and also where it falls apart. You see, he claims the investigation is meant to chill dissent, that it's a warning shot to silence disagreement. It sounds compelling until you examine what dissent actually looks like in the military. You see, lawful dissent happens through command channels, legal review, Congress, and the courts. What it does not look like is a high-profile political figure telling troops in public to make individual determinations about refusing orders. That's not dissent. That's destabilization. Especially in a world that's already filled with geopolitical tension, military readiness depends on clarity, not ambiguity introduced through cable networks. So, the Pentagon's responsibility isn't to protect feelings or narratives, it's to protect order. So when Kelly frames this as suppression, it misses the point. The issue isn't disagreement, the issue is instruction. And that distinction is exactly why the Pentagon stepped in. And so, as the story unfolded, a key phrase kept popping up from critics across conservative media: amateur hour. And that framing matters because it explains why sympathy for Mark Kelly evaporated so quickly. The criticism wasn't that Kelly questioned authority. It was that he did it carelessly, publicly, broadly, and without regard for how military systems actually function. Critics argue that this wasn't principled resistance. This was a sloppy escalation. When you hold Kelly's background up against his actions, the gap becomes glaring. A former officer should understand chain of command better than anyone. A sitting senator should know how to challenge policy without injecting confusion into the ranks. Instead, he went straight for the camera. That's why the amateur hour label stuck, not because the issue was trivial, but because the execution was reckless. And once the Pentagon stepped in, that framing hardened, because institutions don't respond to amateurs gently. They respond by restoring order. At this point, it's pretty clear this story isn't just about one man's meltdown. What's happening here sets a precedent, and everyone in Washington understands that. If a sitting U.S. senator with military credentials can be formally investigated for statements that risk undermining discipline, then the rules are being reassessed and reasserted across the board. And so this sends a message to every politician with a uniform in their past: status doesn't override structure, experience doesn't cancel accountability, and public platforms don't grant immunity. That's why the Pentagon is treating this carefully and very seriously. They're not just evaluating Mark Kelly, they're actually drawing a boundary. And just think about this. If they get Mark Kelly, there will be more. And once that boundary is drawn, it doesn't matter how loud the backlash gets or how many interviews are booked, the process continues. That's what makes this moment so consequential. It's not personal, it's institutional, and institutions don't blink. And so at this stage, the panic that you're seeing from Mark Kelly isn't theatrical, it's rational. Even without speculating about outcomes, the process alone carries weight. An official command investigation doesn't just ask questions, it freezes momentum, it casts doubt, it follows you into every briefing room and every future headline. Kelly risks more than embarrassment. His authority as a serious voice on military and national security issues is now under scrutiny. Committee influence weakens when credibility does. Every future statement gets filtered through that moment. And reputation, once cracked, never fully resets. That's why his tone shifted so sharply. He understands that even if no formal punishment follows, the stain of investigation lingers. The record exists. The precedent is set. In Washington, process is punishment. And Mark Kelly knows that the higher you climb, the farther it is to fall, especially when the fall is public, procedural, and entirely self-inflicted. So this is where everything comes together. Mark Kelly believed that he was making a symbolic statement, a political gesture wrapped in moral language. Pentagon interpreted it as operational risk. That disconnect is the entire story. He thought that this would live on cable news. They moved it into procedure. He thought the status would protect him. They treated him like a subject of review. And when that reality finally sank in, live, on camera, the collapse followed. The rhetoric softened. The urgency spiked. The narrative unraveled. This isn't about silencing dissent. It's about enforcing boundaries that keep systems functioning. And once those boundaries are enforced, Kelly had nowhere left to stand but in front of a camera, trying to outrun consequences with his words. But words don't stop investigations. This is why this moment resonates. This is the collision of ego and institution, of assumption and authority, of symbolism meeting reality. And, well, reality won. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.